we've had a lot of teams just willing to blind Cassio, and not care about the fact you're going to play at a range disadvantage. But Seraphine going to be first pick. See if AL wants to deny the Ashe Seraphine, or they're going to let that through and play their own answer into it.
All right,
Okay,
they are going to split up the Ashe Seraphine. Feel like a lot of teams have started leaning into just slamming Lucian Melio into it and being willing to play out the counter matchup. Not going to be the case this time, and a twisted fate for Shanks right off the bat. Just
More
semi-globals.
semi-globals.
Yep.
Yep. Maybe a similar game plan coming out. As Xin plus Seraphine going to be a happy camper, and then Ezreal coming in. I like Ezreal in the Ashe. I just think that you have ways to deal with Enchantress Crystal Arrow and also answer the farm and some of the early power that Ashe has if you play within her range. I would like Lulu a lot here. I think Lulu Ashe at times could be slept on. Ashe is not thought of to be a big damage dealer, but if empowered, Ashe pumps out a lot of damage. And also Lulu TF, it's kind of like a nice little pseudo engage because you can Whimsy TF with the gold card, and when he gets the Roa Lichbane RFC that I'm expecting to see from Shanks, it's a really nice way to actually fish for engages with the gold card when you're just sprinting forward at 700 move speed and can try and gold card who you want. So we'll see if EDG is going to take some tools to deal with that. I would expect carry top laner coming out here from Flandre, as TF really likes to have side lanes going to play to enable in this game.
Yeah, really do like seeing the follow-up on that gold card with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well. I think that's going to be super valuable for AL. Does give them that semi-global composition again that we talked about being so critical for them in game number 1. The only thing is they currently lack a champion that's really going to be on the engage front of that semi-global, and I don't know that they're necessarily going to find one. The closest pseudo kind of selection of that would be something like the Jarvan. His very long engage range, but that is of course already on the ban list. I don't think we're going to get to see anything like a Zac either, so probably going to have to settle with just the Twisted Fate and the Ashe in regards to the globals for this particular game. Sion going to be banned away, going to deny one of those safer blind options. As now going to be one more potential blind. I assume this is a jungler for Tarzan.
Yeah, I don't love Panth Lulu, but I do... Oh, okay, well, Tarzan Lee Sin. We're in for a treat tonight, folks. Tarzan, one of the best mechanical players that we have in his role. Maybe one of the best mechanical players we have in the league overall. Gonna get his hands on his Lee Sin, a Lee Sin that's been feared since the Griffin days. If you know, you know. As he's got gold card to play off of, so it's kind of similar to Rise TF. It's less damage early on, but I think the theory of that, I would expect mid-jungle... Is that locked?
That's locked.
It's locked, baby. You were asking for assassins from Sun Yen. He's gonna play the Fizz and take a page out of Zaka's book. My issue with this is that there is a polymorph in the game. You cannot Playful Trickster a polymorph. But you do have good targets so far to fish with the fish itself. So we'll see if Sun Yen's able to play this matchup up to its full fruition. As, oh my god, they're putting it top. It's TF top. They're putting Lysandra mid.
Woo!
I think this is one of the worst competitive fizzes I've seen drafted. I don't think Westor could get his way out of this one, personally.
Oh, man, I can't believe you beat me to the Westor shout-out. Unbelievable, man.
This is... the Fizz into Lysandra is so unplayable. And there's really bad. There's a polymorph in the game as well, and like gold cards, if you get rooted, the gold card follows up next. I really appreciate Lysandra. We have yet to see Shanks play it this year, or this split, I should say. But man, Lysandra's ability to try and fish in the backline provides even more engage. I think Ambessa, if it gets late, Ambessa can maybe get you into the game with Seraphine too. But this early game from anyone's Legends is going to be really tough to overcome for EDG. I really appreciate the TF flex top in order to take that Lysandra and cook this Fizz.
Yeah, I mean, I take it back, Sinian. I'm sorry, man. Like, we came into the night. Listen, this guy's been all mages all the time. Played Annie, Orianna, Cassiopeia, Victor, Mel, and then Flex the Rumble mid one game. Those are the champions we've seen Sinian play in competitive play. Because this is only his third series. He just hasn't played that many of them. So we came into the night wondering, you know, does he have the Rise? We're still going to be left wondering that. Would he pick up the Azir if the situation calls for it? Probably, but we don't really know what he's going to pull out on stage. And then what are the assassins going to look like? Does he have the pocket Akali? Does he have the pocket Silas? Well, here comes the Fizz. Let's see how it goes.
Personally, I don't think this Fizz is going to go well. He is running the Westdoor skin, by the way, which I appreciate. But again, yeah, Shanks just gets to walk up and play the matchup like this, where, oh my god, a JDG Xiaohao shot out. It's been that long.
2018.
Holy shnikes. That is a long time since we've seen Fizz. Again, just not a champion that's very competitively viable, given how effective Lockdown is versus this champion. And yeah, I think that this game is going to be a real struggle, as Flandre, if anyone's going to be able to play this TF top, I'm going to trust Flandre. Leave. That's a really extended E over the wall. Level 2 hit by Hope. Tarzan's bot on the 3 camp, not going for the base in the longsword. He's going to try and
flash
impact
forward.
this matchup,
Kael
and
wants
oh
the
boy.
first blood. He's going to get it. Glitter Lance across the team. But will get traded back. Jwei gets a kill. The 2 Enchanters walking away with the first 2 kills of the game.
You know, the fact that Tarzan shows and Hope still goes down is nice, as both Enchantresses get the kills. I don't know who the wave's quite in favor in. A little bit of chaos early on, but this is going to speed up Xiaohao on the jungle clear speed. I don't even know, like, where he can get involved. Like, if he goes mid, you jump on the Sandra, I mean, you just get rooted, and Shanks is able to disengage pretty easily with the claw. And again, you can just see the peppering. Shanks is playing on top of the wave to try and extend the Q range as far as possible. Yeah, Fizz goes for any creeps, just maximum punish coming out from Shanks on... Oh, a Sandra pick that... I know Shanks hasn't played it yet this split, but it was a champion that Shanks was willing to pull out last year, and I think plays quite well.
Yeah, definitely was. And really, really good start here for the likes of AL to be able to get that first blood. We've talked about this before, Cubby, but I don't even mind the kills going over to supports when it is these enchanters. It's definitely a, you know, it's such a truism to say, oh, yeah, support, stop stealing kills, when we're so used to, like, Nautilus Leona being the bottom lanes. Oh, man, Shanks. Really doing it to him here. And I mean, playing melees into Lissandra is pretty rough already. And Shanks knows it. He's taking Ignite.
I will say, that was a little bit of a miscalculation from Shanks. He's going to get an okay base off here, but Sinian should be able to... Okay, he doesn't get the cannon. Alright. Pretty big loss from him, but Shanks needs to base. And yeah, you're right. It's Ignite for Shanks and Exhaust for Flandre. So the TF can make up for the global, of course, with his own ultimate. And Exhaust, I think, important in case Ambessa does jump on top of him. ZDZ went for the Electrocute, which makes sense in this matchup. He's going to try and be bursty. I will say, if there's any game where, in competitive, where I've seen maybe a Voltaic to be built on Ambessa, it's going to be this one for me. I think that's a real option for ZDZ if he wants it, as, oh boy. Is this a TP and a push wave and to potentially dive the TF? There's not a wave here. We're just going to force it.
Sinian's coming on in, knows that he will be able to dodge on away with the Playful Trickster.
Oh.
ZDZ going to be the one to tank up the aggro. And he dances his way right out of there. That's a clean dive from EDG.
Oh my gosh. Sinian just went top, said, let's get physical. Able to find the kill. Takes down Flandre, who doesn't have a TP. And that's honestly really important, the fact that ZDZ gets somewhat ahead in this matchup. And so the response from Shanks is to look at the other lane. And Tarzan's here too, so they've completely forced EDG off. Not going to lead to a kill, but is going to lead to leave, at least losing access to a wave. As nice walk from Sinian. I didn't see that play on my screen. Him and EDG did, and they get their top laner a bit of a lead.
Yeah, good stuff. Get Sinian that first kill as well. It's going to do a good job of accelerating him towards what I'm sure are going to be Merc Treads, just to help him survive up against this Lissandra and spend a little bit less time rooted in the laning phase. That'll make this a little bit more manageable. As
less time rooted, less time polymorphed, less time Lissandra, gold carded maybe even.
Nice early heal from Kael, recognizing that Xiaohao is making his way in towards that bottom lane. First dragon is right for the taking, and it looks like that is exactly where EDG are planning on going.
A little bit of priority just from the fact they've got Ezreal going into the Ashen. Dragon not going to be started up quite yet. But Sinian's going to get this wave in. He's going to be forced to base. Frankly, the fact that Shanks base now, I think this is the angle where if Tarzan were to look, that's where we could see a Dragon tank. But Tarzan, with his bot camp spawning, is making his way up towards the top side to lend an assist to Flandre. So maybe looking for ZDZ here is okay.
Short-range Destiny. Flandre just going to show right up, gets that stun on his EDZ, but they just don't have the damage. Tarzan did use Dragon's Rage there, just didn't have enough in the tank to actually finish off ZDZ.
Kind of answers back the gank, though, that we saw where Flandre did go down because he lost access to a wave. ZDZ is forced to base here. Will lose access to this wave himself, so kind of corrects the matchup back in favor for Flandre. But Tarzan's going to lose access to the Dragon, but trading this out for pressure mid that side. I think Shanks wants this. Tarzan safeguarded mid. Shanks going to come. He's got the lockdown to pair with Lee Sin. No kick, but AL looking for the fight.
Yeah, still pretty powerful team fighting tools here. What's curious, though, is Hope is so disconnected.
They postured. AL. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Was a look. Didn't come together. Instead, maybe the Grub's going to be the place to observe here, though Flandre still will not have access to the Destiny for that one either. All in all, not too shabby. EDG getting themselves the first dragon of the game.
Yeah, again, I think that's the trade with the top line look, and honestly one that I do think AL is kind of okay making. As I fully expect this mid-lane matchup to continue to go in favor of Shanks. He is up a lot of CS. This is about on par for what I'd expect in the matchup against Sinian. Playing with Sandra in the melees just feels so good, because the Q for the Sandra, which, by the way, the Sandra has seen some sneaky buffs. I've been advocating for the Sandra into Ahri in particular. We've seen a little bit less Ahri as the splits continue, but we were seeing a lot of Ahri in the regular season. It's a really positive matchup, and the Sandra has such a strong identity as a champion providing lockdown mid, where comboing with stuff like a Lee Sin jungle, who has also seen buffs this patch. Definitely an option. Obviously, Ryze, TF, I think, prioritize, or Annie, especially comboing with Lee Sin, but Sandra sneaking in. I like this from Shanks. It was the right game for it in this flex, taking advantage of Flandre's creative pool yet again for the second game today. And doing so going, you know, not the Shen with a creative tank pick. It's going to be the sneaky carry pick in that TF.
Yeah, definitely. And it does look like Flandre is going for the AD Twisted Fate as well, as we are apt to see in the top lane. So nothing too crazy there. Xiaohao going to roll up, going to be able to pick up the first grub with that smite. Now looking for the lockdown on a Tarzan.
Oh, no.
Did get hit by the big fish, and Sinian going to pick up the first kill of the fight. Now
oh, no.
Kael leading the charge, trying to finish off Xiaohao, but the heal from the surround sound is enough to keep him standing. Shanks able to dodge out of the public execution, but Leave arrives from the bottom lane. AL pushed off the play. Shanks survives on a sliver, but they get denied all three grubs. They lose their jungler. EDG come out on top big time.
I don't think AL picked the right target there. They tried to go on Xin Zhao, and Xiaohao played that out very nicely. As the flash out got away from the Lee Sin damage, and Tarzan fell victim to the fish. As, again, this E from Shanks, the knockback from Xiaohao, really good. Shanks has to flash back in. They're trying to execute the Xin Zhao, but the Q2 could not be taken by Tarzan because he went down. And Jwei being here, able to save Xiaohao. I just think that if Fizz is in the game, you've just got to just take advantage of one-shotting this champion. Xiaohao played that fight out really nicely, splitting Shanks away from Tarzan and that mid-jungle duo that we kind of expected to win in draft for AL. Outplayed by EDG there, thanks to a really nice fight from Xiaohao.
Yeah, I mean, they make the call to leave Hope bot as well, attempting to only assist with Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Leave, meanwhile, actually arrives to the scene and is able to try to deal a little bit as the fight is over. They had a couple of plates into Hope for that effort, but yeah, I mean, definitely not working out the way AL might have hoped, and despite being the ones against the Fizz composition, they kind of needed to make the fast play there. Did not come on up. Sinian now up 2-0. A faint gold lead against Shanks, despite the CS deficit. This is a really good start for the rookie on his Fizz.
I'm pretty surprised. As... I mean, this is one for me where... okay, well, they saw the Fizz walking top and just the insta-port out from Flandre. That good defense being played there. But, of course, hold on. Pause.
Xiaohao, but it's on to Xiaohao once again. Crescent Guard does its job. Flash in from Jwei. Finds the Encore onto Kael. They're going to turn it right back onto Xiaohao. No Crescent Guard this time. Sinian was able to connect the big fish, but it was onto Shanks. He gets hit by the Glacial Tomb, and now he's going to try to find the escape. He's already used Playful Trickster. Going to have to flash instead, waiting for that cooldown, but he's got Tarzan all over him. Tempest will be the death of the fish. 2 kills back to AL and the lead along with it.
That's the lockdown coming through, and again, why I think Fizz is going to really struggle in this composition. Find it really curious, by the way, this Fizz is going for Blackfire Torch? I mean, I know I was making Chovy Belt jokes, Gordo, but if there's any champion where I feel like Rocket Belt should be prioritized, it's on the Fizz, because some of the animation cancels you can do actually can hide the Shark. Kind of like the QR, you can hide it with Rocket Belt. And just being in range to make sure that you cue the right target or set up for the right Playful Trickster. Blackfire Torch is a item where it benefits with, you know, the more targets that you're able to apply, you're going to get more AP. Fizz is more of a single target assassin. I'm very surprised it's not Witchbane or Rocket Belt here. Kind of an oddball scenario for me.
Look, I am... not a Fizz expert. This is something where I'm going to defer to Lolesports a little bit, but yeah, I mean, on paper, Blackfire Torch about a 10% pick rate right now, and about a 51.7% win rate. So it's not unheard of among Fizz players. Not that there are very many of those. It's got about 2,000 games in Emerald plus solo queue. I can't say that I conceptually get it.
Me neither, because I don't think Fizz needs a ton of access to mana either. You can kind of handle that with Blue Rock or roaming or like a lot of bases. This is a weird one for me, but
Chovy Belt higher win rate, by the way.
Yes, Sinian's down a level, and with this being attempted, ECA connects. Crescent Guard available. Xiaohao able to save it. Good absorb from Jwei as Shanks might look to enter. Wait,
so a little bit cut off from the team, but he's in a 1v1 brawl with Sinian. He likes that plenty. That's why he drafted the champion. Now getting on in there. Tomb onto Xiaohao. And aptly named. That'll be the kill right off the bat. Flandre going to be able to action off Sinian. And ZDZ now left alone. Dive into the back line. Was able to create enough space for Tarzan to eventually fall. But there's enough damage in the tank for AL to carry through the fight. Flandre walking away with a double kill. It is a 3-for-1 in favor of AL.
I just think that fight, this game, it's so difficult for Fizz to play, and I mean, this is a champion where you can find some cheese wins in solo queue with it, but there are some champions we don't see in comp for a reason, because coordinated play can counter them so hard. Like, Fizz opening the fight, I mean, look at how unplayable the rest of this fight is for Sinian. As he jumps on the Sandra, gets rooted, so that gets canceled, and Fizz is just not relevant in this fight. Meanwhile, Tarzan up a level. Kicks Xiaohao out into Shanks, who takes him down. We have to go back to live because the early cleanse from him, don't think it matters, but he goes down to the port from Flandre.
What is that Giga Chad move from Flandre there as he rocks up without pick a card active, double taps W, rips the gold card, top decks it, and gets him right off the bat. That's crazy.
He's rift-bounding, baby. Looking for the top decks. Heart of the Cards, that's a different game, but that's fine. Flandre able to find it as again. Leading with the Kraken Slayer on the TF. The Noon Quiver second. I think it's going to be Hyper Optics. Or if you get a kill, that bonus range. That's pretty nice for gold cards, being able to find the right target.
So here's the thing, Cubby. There used to be... Now Flandre's got me wondering if this mechanic is still in the game. There used to be a Twisted Fate mechanic, a real secret one. Yeah,
Yep.
where you could time out what card you were going to pull next. After you pick the card, okay, hold on a second. Kael's getting caught. Public execution finds its way onto the Lulu. The growth going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, though. Meanwhile, Shanks is sectioned off leave, and AL turned the fight on its head. TP coming in from Sinian. Can he try to salvage this? As Hope has already fallen down. Xiaohao able to finish him off on the backside, but the team fight looking strong for AL. Into the back line goes Tarzan to claim the life of Sinian. ZDZ tries to dash forward, but he just doesn't have the health to do it, and Flandre knocks down one after the other. It's a double kill to him once again as AL balloon their lead to 5,000.
I am, again, just going to reference the draft on how this draft makes the game very difficult to play for EDG. I think another rule, I mean, playing Assassins into Lulu is so difficult because Polymorph is such a warping ability in the backline. Didn't connect on the Fizz that time, but did connect onto ZDZ, who wasn't able to play that fight the way he wanted to. And Kael, we saw someone sneak into the Banana Brush. He finds 3, but was still able to get out. ZDZ isn't able to connect again. Leave down cleanse, just gets full CC chain, very cleanly played by AL and Tarzan. So they're down the 80 carry, the member that was so important in EDG's win against NIP. Yes, Hope goes down, but look at the rest of the fight. 3-man Encore, just easy self-ult from Shanks, gets a lot of value. Tarzan's ahead. It's a baby shark from Sinian. Not able to get much done. Tarzan just blitzes him in this fight. And ZDZ Polymorph is Flandre able to easily clean up in the back half. Nice safeguard keeps Shanks alive, and Xiaohao falls. And again, AL continues to build upon this advantage that I very much feel like they have in draft. Tarzan gets the flash out of Sinian, and this snowball is going to continue to be out of control. The Fizz being the TF flexed out into the finding, I think one of the most one-sided matchups that I can think of for the Sandra versus Fizz is just not the way.
Oh. Yeah, that was a flash from Sinian as we came back in to the picture-in-picture there.
Sadly, sorry to cut you off. I was going to prep the Rotten Tomatoes joke, which we have to pause on. We have to play
Wait a second.
Great call by Shanks.
Flandre once again, right off the Destiny, and oh my god, the damage. Twisted Fate, just a little too strong now with the Kraken Slayer and the Hextech completed. Just a huge amount of damage comes in from Twisted Fate as the man in the wide-brimmed hat arrives to the scene and just completely demolishes EDG.
That was Clone Wars Cad Bane, and I only reference that because the Rotten Tomatoes joke I was going to make is that this draft from EDG, it's closer to the Rotten Tomatoes score of The Mandalorian and Grogu, and further from the audience score, you know? Which is, it makes me disappointed as a big Star Wars fan, but it is what it is.
Certainly. I haven't seen it, and I probably won't, and it's looking more and more like that was the right choice.
There are some movies, Gordo, that I look at as an adult, and they help me justify paying for the subscription for the year. This, sadly, is one of them, as someone that went to go see every other Star Wars movie in theaters.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a good little break. All right, I want to finish off this Twisted Fate point, because I feel like I've left some people hanging. So the old mechanic used to be, when you picked your card off Pick a Card, it would keep ticking in the background. Like, if you just timed it in your head, you would just go blue, red, gold, blue, red, gold, blue, red, gold. And then you threw your card. When you cast Pick a Card again, it would pick up where it left off. So you could plan what your top deck would be. I don't know if that went away when they did the little mini rework on Twisted Fate or not. I know they got rid of the animation where the card keeps pulsing.
Right, it's the
but that doesn't mean they got rid of the mechanic.
I'm kind of with you, Gordo. I think that likely still exists in the game. You know, maybe Flandre's got like a YouTube video in the background of a metronome, and he's just like 1, 2, 3.
If not, Flandre's a Giga Chad for that play earlier, where he just ports in no card picked and double taps W for the gold card.
It was snappy. You know, a lot snappier than the shark that Fizz is bringing to this game, sadly. As again, just a really creative flex, and part of why we don't see this champion in fives. I would not have advocated for Fizz regardless in this game, just because I think that there are other champions outside of Wasandra that Fizz doesn't want to see. Like, Lee Sin baptizes Fizz. Lulu makes it really difficult for Fizz to play. Wild Growth can cancel the Q, and then, of course, Polymorph speaks for itself. So just kind of surprised that the first non-control mage game we see from Sinian, which we were asking to see him, you know, be able to flex some muscles, and To see him willing to play an Assassin's nice, but this was not the right game for it. I just don't think there are enough conditions for Fizz to even really be valid in this one.
I'm hearing in the background, we got folks on the case doing research that say it is not in the game anymore. So the Giga Chad Flandre rumors.
You know what?
Maybe
Vegas got to the game. No counting cards, Gordo.
Yeah.
Vegas ruined the mechanic.
I mean, to be fair, that's one of those that's one of those mechanics Riot hates. Riot hates quote-unquote skill checks that are just, do you know this arbitrary thing? Oh boy, Kael getting clawed out, getting chased down, but stays alive by ulting himself, and Destiny has been cast. Here comes Flandre, the Giga Chad himself, but already way too far up is Shanks. He's blown up, he's gone! AL, 4 versus 5 now, maybe gonna have to flee the scene. Just happy they got their Hextech Drake earlier.
I mean, I'll defend Shanks on that entrance. He almost found a 5-man Lissandra entrance into the fight, but that encore was timed perfectly from Jwei coming out of the claw, catches Shanks and stops him in its tracks as EDG trying to push as hard as possible. Flandre should go down here.
Yeah, Flandre getting chased. This is a big shutdown, and they will get it onto Sinian. He walks away with about 1,000 bonus gold. Not too shabby for the Fizz, but not going to be enough to offset the gold lead that AL have built up so far.
That was a 2.5k to 3k gold injection, though, on the other side, so AL going to try to avoid those. I do think scaling of this game, Seraphine and Bessa scales really hard, so they have to be a little bit careful, but I still kind of favor AL just because Lulu and empowering Ashe and also this TF kit. Yeah, look at Shanks in this entrance. This encore just perfectly timed from Jwei. I think if Shanks goes W self-ult, it's a maybe. Instead open with Rocket Belt and got caught. I think if it's an immediate land of the self-ult, but you really want a W self-ult as the Sandra. Just well-timed by Jwei. We'll give Jwei some kudos there. As does get a gold lead in favor of Leave, who I know that we've got a lower third talking to our producer here who's been helping us out tonight, Shivam, about Leave's stats from the play-in stage, because he had a monumental series to make sure that EDG were overcome NIP and Leave's old team. I mean, guys, this is across all 5 games, so including the losses. This is what Leave put up in that series. Just absolutely filthy heavy lifting coming out from him to make sure that his team was able to overcome NIP and make it into the playoffs, double elimination bracket, and of course group ascension for split 3, or group ascent for split 3. I keep on saying ascension. It's ascend.
Yeah. You know, it's adjective versus noun. You know, that's. Although I guess they're both.
So
nouns,
I'm failing English, is what you're saying, Gordo. That's not great.
I mean, I'm failing English. Really, they're kind of both nouns, but I don't know. I don't know what the proper term would be. So maybe I'm the one who's really failing English all around.
We'll get to work on it. You know, we'll get to work.
It's group ascent for anybody curious. We got that one down pat for sure. But Leave does have himself a little bit of a gold lead after that last fight. Granted, the gold doesn't necessarily go into Ashe 100% of the time, and it's not necessarily how AL play the game either. They have a much higher gold percentage on folks like Flandre and Tarzan than EDG do on ZDZ and Xiaohao. So.
And speaking of, TF passive working a bit of overtime, but Flandre is the one that's set up for the most success in this game, as he's trying to find the double pog. That RFC Whimsy combo I was talking about, assuming that it was going to be the Roa Lichbane and RFC, TF mid, still applies here, as the speed up into gold card is going to be lethal for EDG to deal with. I think that they have to be really careful of showing on waves, in which they're not doing right now, trying to lie in wait and hope that AL walks into another scenario that is positive for EDG, but they don't know that this Baron is going on, and this Baron is gone, Gordo. So uncontested 24.5-minute Baron on EDG, giving it over to AL. Flandre did cast Destiny just to get some more
one of those teams that gets some of the fewest mid lane bans.
Bad news,
Levy
they're down a Baron, and likely to be down a soul point, as it's Hextech Soul on the Rift, and I don't think EDG are going to be able to contest this, although they will pour in and see if they can find anything.
Yeah,
Sinian is not spotted yet, but I like the angle that Shanks is holding.
Yeah, they got a hankering for a little bit of action here. Flandre waiting around on the side. Enchanted comes out, kick back in. They're going to focus Xiaohao all day long. They'll just keep forcing that play until it works. and this time it does. Knockup found on his EDC as well. He goes in for the public execution, gets immediately entombed and immediately blown up. It's another double kill to Flandre. Leave trying to make the big play, steps up, looking for the damage, but it just cannot manifest, not against a full 5-man squad of anyone's legend. This dragon is theirs.
There's a reason I didn't think that was very contestable. As Sunian was looking for the angle, and they actually took the fight away from the Fizz without really knowing it. Again, that's another fight, though, where they had full control of that banana brush going into mid, and I love Shanks just waiting there with these crowd control heavy mid laners. That's the most important terrain to hold when it comes to the dragon, and I know they didn't play around that area of the fight, but it makes it so hard for even a champion like Fizz to walk in and get any work done. This was Tarzan's play. Shanks' position is really good as Sunian doesn't get in, but it's Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Wonderful kick coming out from Tarzan. Finds the Xin Zhao, and again, Fizz just in the background. He was looking for the flank or the angle, but AL took the fight before Fizz can even get set up, and goal lead in the might of AL shuts EDG down. As this game, for me, Gordo, I don't like to call games over in draft, but oftentimes I will say that if the draft is better, I think teams sometimes get a 70 to 75% nod in draft. This one was north of that, given the Lissandra and the Lulu into the Fizz.
Yeah, I mean, didn't even have a bad early game. Sinian started this game 2-0, and this Fizz still just felt anemic, just not really able to accomplish much of anything.
That's a higher English grade.
See,
big word for you.
You don't bring me on here for English. You bring me on here to tell you about Twisted Fate mechanics that were removed 10 years ago. But Flandre getting engaged on, but there's Shanks with the re-engage on the backside, gets the root onto 4. Tarzan with a massive Dragon's Rage back through. CBC throws himself to the back line, but cannot get much done before he falls. And it's a triple kill, a quadra kill to Hope as he carries the fight out from the back line. AL, another strong team fight performance, another game win. They're going to match point.
Yep, that Fizz got sent underwater by the Lissandra as under the ice Fizz goes, and I would like to put the Fizz on ice. I think that if Lulu is in the game, it's very difficult to play Assassins because of what Polymorph can do. There are a lot of other conditions that I feel like went into the Fizz not showing up in that one. I appreciate the Fizz in the TF. Again, it's a really good matchup in solo queue, but you can also play like Anivia into Twisted Fate, where I know that you sign up to maybe have angles opened up upon you later on, but there are a lot of positives in lane to that matchup. Anivia just being a control mage that's more solid, and I think might fit into the wheelhouse of Sunian and would have fit into a Seraphine composition where you want control. That's the other kind of perplexing thing for me, too, is that with Seraphine, how many games have we seen where Seraphine, you just stack up his 5, play for extended fight scenarios, and just profit because you're playing frickin' Seraphine? Fizz doesn't want to play that type of fight, so I know that Sunian, we were asking to see more out of him as a young mid laner, and as someone whose pool we're still trying to figure out. I feel like that was an errant assassin play going into the comp that was showing for AL, and AL, they prove that's the fact.
I like the spirit, though, all right? I was, listen, we're 3 series in. We're, like, 8 games into this guy's career. His most played champion's Annie. I was getting a little nervous. I was like, maybe this guy doesn't have the sauce. Maybe we're not going to get to see some exciting champions out here. I like that the man is willing to rip an assassin. Maybe not this assassin, maybe not right now.
Tried, you know? But
there's a time and place for everything, but not now.
Yeah, not now. Props to Shanks, again, pulling out the Lissandra pick, and Flandre as well for being able to flex that Twisted Fate. I think for me, that's got to be another pog for Flandre. Just the fact that he's willing to flex that Twisted Fate into the Ambessa. Really like Tarzan. That visit around level 6, it might have looked goofy, Gordo, where they dropped the first dragon, but that got Flandre back into the matchup and made sure that he was on decent footing up top. And his ability to take that, run with it, TF passive working a little bit of overtime, got to the 3-item mark really early, and TF was rather oppressive in that game with some global presence, which has been a theme so far for AL's 2 drafts going into EDG as well.
Yeah, really, really strong. use of the globals so far in this series by AL. And I know I kind of said the same thing after game number 1, but now it's more true than it was before. We're running out of champions like this in the pool. So at some point, AL is going to have to play a different strategy. They are going to have to play champions that don't get to teleport for free across the entire map and start plays. So
Pantheon's up. Pantheon's
Pantheon
been
is
really kind of forgotten about, actually, in a lot of these playoffs. I feel like Pantheon's been dropped.
kind of crazy, too, right? It's still really strong.
If any player, Tarzan's Pantheon is one that I fear the most in the LPL, frankly. Him and Shun. So if anyone's going to bring it out, I expect Tarzan to have it. But yeah, it's... I feel like what I was teasing at the start of the day, Gordo, with the LPL chatters not being happy about the disparity of games and even teasing that Split 3 is going to be competitive just based on what we've seen so far. EDG has not given me too much more hope for that. I think Game 2, again, I would have given AL like a 75% plus chance to win just based on that draft. As Lissandra is just a diabolical champion this game. Playing it into Fizz, into the game where playing off Lee Sin and with an Ashe, I think sets up really well with an Enchantress support too. Kudos to AL, who, with the draft flex, I mean, this is something that AL was really known for doing last year. And I think a lot of people gave Tabe, and rightfully so, because I think we're seeing some of this with JDG, gave Tabe kudos for some of the creativity of what he had with the team. But good to see that in this game, because, again, I feel like the draft they had just made the game really hard from the rip for EDG, and we saw that come to fruition on the Rift, too.
Yeah, Flandre, definitely a player with a deep champion pool. And the fact that they are able to move that Twisted Fate up into his hands. The fact that we had to be worried about the Varus moving into his hands in game number 1. Definitely a big boon to the likes of AL. They are certainly coming away the recipient of very good drafts in both of these games so far today.
Yeah, it just hasn't been... I think EDG, again, I want to give EDG kudos for Game 1. I think some of the ways they played back into that game were good. They punished AL in some of those setups, but this game just not possible. I mean, this Fizz was... Fizz was an NPC for most of the game, and that wasn't too much the fault of Sinian. It's just the draft and the Lissandra coming in. Again, why we don't see stuff like Zed mid, Talon mid, Fizz mid blinded, because this Lissandra champion does exist. And the tools that Lissandra brings you in 5, and when you have a jungler the likes of Tarzan playing Lee Sin and how it pairs with it, yeah, you're going to set that jungler up for a lot of success. And Tarzan, it's going to be a Flandre pog for me, but Tarzan did have a pretty successful game.
Yeah, I think really, really strong game from the both of them. I mean, I think, Shanks comes out looking pretty good here as well. He ends up topping out the damage charts. He has some really good team fights where he's just landing these really huge Ws, these really huge ultimates, just be able to keep quite a number of the crew locked on down. So, yeah, a strong claim for multiple members of AL in this game number 2. I think all in all, even cleaner than game number 1. But of course, hard to talk about that without talking about the draft that we both had some really strong criticisms of that really did manifest.
Yeah. I mean, I can even say that the yawn was given the game, and not just the fact that I got 3 broadcasts in 24 hours, and I've been waking up at 4 a.m. for the majority of the week and going on my morning runs. So it's been quite nice not being on the LPL schedule, but hopefully EDG can wake me up for the next game. I would like to see EDG make this a series, and honestly, I've been a little bit frustrated at some of the fan response, and that's why I brought it up a few times, that these Group Nirvana teams getting baptized as we hop into Group Ascend. I really feel like some of the big stories for me with Group Ascend versus Group Nirvana has been the teams that have promoted in the Group Ascend. Across the board, we've seen them improve throughout the splits, getting those opportunities to play those stage games, and a lot of the times more games against the teams that are in the group, being in the double round robin versus the single, which will be different next split. But we don't yet have the time for some of those teams to scale on up. And of course, we went from the bottom 4 teams playing to the top 4 teams in the group playing. And the Group Ascend teams that got demoted from the loss to these Group Nirvana teams, they struggled against these teams that we had, as I felt like there was a lot of disparity that we had in the league between the top 5 or 6 teams and the rest for Group Ascend. So it's I'm not too surprised at the results that we've had so far. That said, I'm hoping that EDG does give them more of a run for their money in this game 3. And EDG hopefully going to give themselves a draft where things are a little bit more playable, as it is an Infinity Edge 4th for Flandre, a second POG for him in this series. And I don't want to see or talk about this draft anymore, Gordo. I'm done with this one. I'm ready for game 3.
Yeah. AL looking back on form. Flandre looking back on form. A really strong game number 2. The momentum all in their favor. EDG, backs against the wall if they want to stay in the upper bracket. They are going to have to change things up real soon. Find out if they're going to be able to do it as we throw it to another break.